Mill attempted to kidnap my daughter and then got arrested, so I've been lurking on this sub for about a month now, looking for advice on how to deal with my own just no Mill, and I made a throwaway account to relate all of this crap to you guys and your llamas. Never in a million years did I think that it would come to this. Okay, so first of all, a little about me. I'm 27 years old, and I have been with my husband, who is 31, for 7 years now, and married for just under 2. We have a daughter together, who turned 5 last month. I'm a freelance artist slash stay-at-home mother, whilst my husband works in a large supermarket in the next town over. Husband's mother, Mill, doesn't like me, and never has done. She spent the first 1.5 of our relationship trying desperately to break us up. When I fell pregnant, she screamed and shouted and cried and wailed about me trapping her baby, and what an evil bee I was, and how I should just crawl back into the sewer I came from. Yes, she actually said that. Right in front of me. When our daughter was born, at first Mill didn't want anything to do with her. She refused to come and visit us for the first few months of her life. Not that I'm complaining. And eventually started saying things like, I'll come and see you, husband, but make sure he'll offer throwaway and the baby stay upstairs when I do. Husband put his foot down and said that there was no way he was going to ask his own girlfriend to do that with our own child in our damn house. We only really heard from her every month or two until around a week before daughter's 5th birthday. Mill demanded to come and see her so she could shower her with gifts and sweets and balloons and give her the best damn birthday ever. Husband asked why she'd suddenly had this change of heart when in the past she'd wanted nothing to do with her. Mill just brushed off all of his questions and started listing all of the gift ideas she had. I intervened and told her straight that due to her behavior in the past towards us, she wouldn't be allowed to see her. This led to a lot and crying and shouting, and then, ultimately, her showing up to daughter's party uninvited. I'll post about that at a later date, though. After that, we went NC with her, and she didn't contact us at all. Until yesterday. Oh god. At around midday, me and my mother sat in the kitchen, chatting over a cup of coffee, when suddenly someone started knocking on the door. I went to answer it, and there was Mill, standing there and looking rather like a caged wild animal. I asked her what she wanted, and she said, in a weird bright tone, I've come to take daughter to my house for a sleepover. And then she literally shoved me out of the way and strode into the house, repeatedly calling for daughter and pronouncing her name wrong every time. I grabbed her arm and tried to force her out of my house, telling her that she had no right to be here. She squealed like a pig and told me that she had every right to be involved in daughter's life and demanded that I go and get her so they could get on with the sleepover. I said that she was in school right now, and even if she wasn't, I wouldn't let her go to the sleepover anyway. She screamed wordlessly in my face and then ran upstairs, screeching daughter's name hysterically and tearing through all the rooms. I yelled at my mum to call the police, which she did. I then ran after Mill and dragged her out of the bedroom. She started hitting me and slapping at me, so I grabbed both of her wrists to restrain her. I then frog marched her down the stairs and demanded that she leave. She screamed that I was mistreating daughter by hiding her away from her and ran to the foot of the stairs, continuing to scream daughter's name. My mother shouted to her that daughter was in school, but still Mill didn't believe us. When the police showed up, Mill screamed at the officer what a bad mother I was, and how I was mistreating the baby, and lying to her, and how her son should never have married me. Me and my mother both explained our side of the story. The policeman firmly told Mill to leave the house and to stop disrupting us. She slapped him around the face. He immediately arrested her, and gave us a load of information and advice on what to do next. Mill screamed and shouted, and hid on the police car windows as the policeman drove her away. After they left, I broke down in tears. My mother bear hugged me, and made me another cup of coffee. I rang husband and basically word spew everything that had happened. He was absolutely furious, and even suggested that he take the rest of the day off, so he could come home and support me and daughter. I insisted on him staying at work, because I didn't want him to get into trouble, so he did. I rang daughter's school and told them what had happened. I requested that they have some kind of password system from now on in case Mill ever shows up at the school, and they agreed. We haven't heard from the police at all, so I've no idea if Mill has been released or what. daughter herself is fine. After much deliberation, I explained to her that a bad lady came into the house and tried to take her away, but it's okay because the police came and took her away. Daughter asked if the bad lady would come back, and I promised her that I would stop her if she did. I hope I can keep that promise. Mill tried to call the cops saying I was trying to kidnap her granddaughter. Hey y'all, I thought I should post about what my crazy, cruel Mill has been doing to make my life miserable. I'm 32F married and have a 9-year-old daughter. I have been going through a very difficult time in the past few years. My dad passed away in 2017 in a car accident. It was horrific, absolutely devastating for both me and my brother. My brother found it so hard to cope with this loss, he became depressed and got dependent to hooch. 2 years ago on my dad's end anniversary, we got together, talked/cried together. He had told me dad visited him in his dream the other day. I couldn't understand what he was saying cause he was drunk that night and insisted on driving despite telling him to stay. On I heard he was involved in an auto accident which they claimed was intentional, that he purposely caused the crash due to his mental state, and of course driving under the influence. He's fully recovered now, he's got the help he needed, and is now moving forward in life. Mill couldn't help but call himself destructive, dangerous, mentally unstable, and that my daughter shouldn't be around him. We got into an argument because of her awful accusations and untrue statements, and went no contact for over a month. I just couldn't handle her bullcrap anymore. Bad mouthing my brother to his niece, that was unacceptable. My husband stayed at the hospital for 2 weeks. He had chest pain. It was concerning. She called me and told me to bring over my daughter so she can look after her while DH is in the hospital. I said no. I reminded her that she is not to make any sort of communication while she's on NC. She started ranting about how it was not fair to not able to see her GD. I didn't give it much thought. I took my daughter and went to stay with my brother. His house is 10 minutes away from the hospital. Plus I needed someone to look after Dee other than that offensive B. My brother been very supportive. He said I could stay for as long as I want and that he was ready to do whatever to help. I found out she turned up to my house and didn't find me nor Dee there. Although she knew I was staying at my brother's, she decided to call the cops and say that I was trying to run with her granddaughter. She basically lied and said that I took my DD to stay with a mentally unstable person that she felt was representing a danger to her granddaughter. She gave them the address, and the responding officer was very understanding. I had to explain the situation and told him that I'm the mother and that we've been having some family issues at the time, and explained why I was staying at my brother's. The officer had to speak with her again to see if she had valid reasons for claiming that I was trying to kidnap my own daughter, and I didn't know what happened after that. She called later on and said that I don't bring my daughter over, she'd make sure she calls CPS next time. She's a massive B. She accused me of trying to keep Dee away from home and said that Dee cannot continue to live around people like my brother, and now she threatened to call CPS on me to try to prove a point. Edit. I was totally freaked out when the officer spoke to me, and I was like, did she really do that? She did threaten to call the cops several times. I'm not gonna lie, I did not take her seriously. I never thought she'd pull something like that, especially when my husband, her son, is having some health issues right now. She caught me off guard, but I remained calm despite what I was going through and was able to put the officer in the picture. Unfortunately, where I live, grandparents' rights is a thing, and I will not be surprised if she calls CPS given what the fact that she called the cops and gave false report. She probably now expects me to let her see my DD. She's delusional. I told my brother to not open the door for her in case she shows up while I'm at the hospital. Mill tried to get me arrested as she did not know how old her daughter was. So I've been skimming this sub and thought I'd share a funny story. So my so has been no contact / minimal contact with her mom for about 4 years now, as soon as she moved out. The reason or reasons for this is a long story, but at TLDR is she's dependent to pretty much everything and is an extreme narcissist on top of that. She occasionally combines so many meds in such amounts that she loses touch with reality for days at a time. Psychosis at its finest. An important piece of backstory is that my Mill despises me and has wished demise upon me more than once. Her reasoning for this apparently is that I stole her daughter from her and she thinks I'm the reason that my so won't talk to her. Entirely untrue. Anyways, so I'm a little older than my SO. I'm 25 and she is currently 22. One day a year ago, when I was 24 and my SO 21, we decided after work that we would drive to the liquor store and buy some vodka for the weekend. Whenever we go to the liquor store we usually only have one of us go in just so the other can chill in the car and relax. On this particular day I was the one to go in. I grab our usual and go to the checkout counter, which is right next to the entrance. I see my Mill walk in and think, oh duck, please don't see me. And as soon as I thought that she sees me, so she and her med buddy she was with come over to the checkout area and she says something like, "Sue, my name. Why are you getting hooch? Do you plan on sharing that with SOS name?" And trying to be cordial and civil I say something like, "Yeah, we're off the next few days, so we're just going to relax." At this moment Mill turns to the poor cashier, who obviously was picking up that things were tense, and demands the manager / the police, because I'm providing hooch to her underage 18-year-old daughter. I immediately correct her on her daughter's age, and she raises her voice and responds, "Do you think I don't know how old my own ducking daughter is? Obviously not." Side note, this is somewhat made funnier by the fact that my Mill provided all of her children with meds and hooch as they requested. My SO actually started drinking / smoking at 16, but her older brother started at 13. So the cashier doesn't know what to do, and Mill and her friend are ranting at her about how awful and horrible I am. Other customers are looking at us now, and I have enough social anxiety as it is, so this was really crappy. I get my phone out and call my SO, and she asks what's up. I tell her that she needs to come in. She asks why, and I tell her what's going on. Before I can finish the story she says crap and hangs up. A few seconds later she is in the building. She walks up to the cashier / her mom, and in a hushed voice immediately starts saying, "What do you think you're doing? Why on earth are you making a scene here?" And stuff like that. She gets her wallet out and proves to the cashier and the supervisor that had by now come to the checkout station that she is indeed 21 and her mother is a moron. Mill then insisted to the manager that the ID must be faked, so they scanned it. It scanned and proved it wasn't a fake. Mill realizes that she's ducked up and now begins to cry and starts saying sorry to my SO. My SO refuses to make eye contact and starts to exit the store while saying stuff like, "Leave me alone please." I pay for the drinks and I head out. My Mill and SO are arguing over by our car. No idea where the friend went at this point. Presumably stayed in the liquor store though. My SO tells me to get in the car and Mill grabs onto the mirror as my SO starts to back out. My SO stops the car, rolls down the window a crack, and says that if Mill doesn't leave she will be calling the police and my Phil. This got my Mill to leave and storm back into the store. TLDR, Mill tries to call police on me for providing hooch to her underage daughter. Turns out she just forgot how old her daughter was by a few years.